Hey guys, Jacob here. We're back with part 3 of my mom's birthday knife build video. Right now, we're grinding the handle. If you remember from the end of part 2, we got the tang bedded and we got it kind of all blocky, but now it's time to actually shape the handle how we want it. Alright, so that's the handle shape roughed in. In talking to my mom, she likes a knife with a thinner handle, so this is going to get taken in quite a bit still. It's going to flare out a little bit up here for kind of the palm swell. But first, I'm going to mark some lines as a reference of where I want to grind to, so let's go do that. So this is the design we're going for. It's going to have a facet along the back here, and then it's going to be rounded over in the front. While I draw some layout lines for this handle, I figure I'll tell the story of how I got into knife making, because I haven't told that story on the channel yet. After I dropped out of college my junior year, I was living at home and not really doing much of anything. I was applying to restaurants and coffee shops and stuff and not really hearing back anywhere. And I mentioned to a friend of mine that I was looking for a job, and so he introduced me to his old boss, who had just bought a knife brand but didn't have anybody to do the production. My now boss basically had this whole forge set up with nobody working in it, and I thought it sounded interesting. I was willing to learn how to do the stuff, so I stuck around. I got 1 day of training from a person who didn't really know what she was doing, so it was a lot of YouTube and podcasts and that sort of thing to try to figure out what the heck was going on. My boss knew essentially nothing about knife making, but he was super supportive. He bought basically all of the crappy first knives that I made, which may not sound like much, but think of it this way. If he had waited to start paying me until I got good at making knives, I never would have gotten good at making knives. That was almost 2 years ago now. I still work for that same guy doing production, but he's super gracious about letting me do personal projects like this knife in his forge with his materials, and so I could not be more grateful to my boss. Alright, so that's all my rough reference points. So let's get back to it. This time I'm going to use a fresh 120, I think, because that old 36 was kind of burning the wood a little bit, so I want to try to avoid that. But a fresh 120 will still be pretty aggressive to do what I want to do. So let's get to it. I just love handle shaping like this. I love having the lines marked because it makes it super easy. You just grind to the line and then you're done. But this step where the handle goes from a big chunky block to something that's honestly pretty close to what the final shape is going to look like is super satisfying to me. That's really coming together. I got to take this back edge in a little bit so that it's flush with the spine. But other than that, I'm really happy with that shape. I think that's really nice. And it feels good in the hand. All right, so we're done on 120 grit. Next up, we're gonna go to 400. Alright, so that's what I like to call a test buff. I'm not done sanding by any means, but by buffing it, you can see where there are still scratches that need to come out. I mean, clearly there's still facets and stuff I need to blend, but just doing the buff helps a little bit with knowing what I need to do. So let's do some sanding. What's up, Stout Nation? Welcome back. This is part 3, I think. Today we're going to be working on the blade. The handle at this point is complete, but the blade still looks like dookie. If we get a little bit closer here, you can see there are some rust spots that I need to clean off. There's a couple of decarb spots that I need to grind through, and we're still way thick at the edge, so we need to thin that down. So we're gonna do that on the belts, and then we're gonna clean up with hand sanding and go to the etch so that it looks pretty. Let's go. Was that another intro? Maybe. Am I going to apologize for it? No, I'm not. Making multi-part videos is hard, guys. My goal here, like I said, is just to thin down and clean up the blade. We've got to get through those rust spots in the decarb, and we've got to get it thinner at the edge. Using the top of the belt like this is great to give the blade a convex geometry, where it's got a little bit of a curve. It's not strictly a flat grind, and that helps with food release. Here on the wheel, I'm just rounding over the spine, which helps with the comfort when you're holding it in your hand, especially if you like to use a pinch grip. Okay, it looks a lot shinier now. I just finished on the 120 belt. We're gonna do a test etch and see if we got through the decarb. And if we did, then we can move up in the grits. Otherwise, we're gonna have to spend a little more time on the 120. So we'll see what happens. See what we're looking at. Oh yeah, look at that. Still maybe just a hint of decarb right in the middle there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not bad. And then we're through all the rust on this side. Oh, that looks awesome. That's so sick. All right, well, let's go get this cleaned off. I'm gonna do just a little bit more 120 for those decarb spots, and then we're gonna start moving off the grits. Getting through decarb on a Damascus blade is tricky because there's no way to check your work as you're grinding. You have to test etch. It's one of those little quirks. All right, we're done on the belts. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up with a Dremel. It's not like it's disgusting right now, but it needs some cleaning up. And then we're gonna hand sand the blade. Because we took it all the way to 400 on the belts, I think we're just gonna start with 600 and call it good and then go into the etch. So let's do it. Dremels are bad. That's the official stance of Stout's Forge. But until I get a real rotary tool, I will continue using my Dremel. Just know that I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna call that good. Yeah. Of course, we'll hit it with the sandpaper too. But. It's time to hand sand the blade. It sucks, but you gotta do it, especially for Damascus. If you try to etch a belt finish Damascus blade, it's just not gonna look very good. All right, I think that's gonna be it. Yeah, that's pretty good to me. Oops. What do you think? Looking pretty shiny, huh? I'm gonna hit the spine with the 600, and then I'm gonna hit it all in the buffer, and then it'll be time for the etch. Are you excited yet? This is the most exciting part.
Well, I'll let you know, I'm zoomed in really close in your face.
Nice. While you're zoomed in, I'll do a little knowledge drop.
Not on your face.
Oh, okay. Well,
Back on your face.
Okay. We're gonna do a little knowledge drop. Whether you're on my face or you're not on my face, it doesn't matter because they can still hear me. Right now, we're about 90% of the way done with this knife, but the old adage goes that the last 10% of the knife takes 90% of the time. And unfortunately, it's true. I'm just kidding. I don't mean that we're gonna be here for 9 more days. It kind of feels like that. But we're actually really close. With the hand sanding done, it's time to get ready for the final etch. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just cleaning off the blade, because if there's any kind of oil or contaminants, then the etch will be uneven, and we don't want that. It turns out the etch is still uneven anyway, but not because we didn't clean it. Look at that. That's pretty sick, huh?
Yeah.
A couple of streaks, but that's why we clean it when we do it again. Right now, we're just etching for depth in diluted ferric chloride. We're doing multiple rounds with cleaning off in between with 2000 grit sandpaper. That's a tip I learned from Josh Fisher. Great guy, check him out. All right, back in the acid. There we go. All right, we've got some very, very disgustingly strong instant coffee. We're gonna take the blade out of the acid and put it in the coffee. That should theoretically blacken up the parts that we want black. So here it is. I'm gonna rinse it and I'm gonna go straight into the coffee. And we're gonna leave it in the coffee for something like 6 hours. And then we're gonna come back and take it out and see what we think. Boom. What's up? We're back. It's been a few hours. We're gonna check the blade. If it looks good, then we're in business. If it looks bad, I might cry. So let's go see how it did in the coffee. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, nice and dark. I gotta do some rinsing, but oh, that side is not as good. Not as good. Let's see what we get when we rinse. Boy, that... The 15 and 20 really darkened up on some of that, which probably means we left it in too long. Other than that, I'm happy with it, but we are gonna have to clean it off and do it again. But that will be a project for another day because it's late and I wanna go to bed. We'll be back. I'm gonna see if we can fix it with a little bit of rinsing and hand sanding. Theoretically, the dark stuff is on a lower level than the light stuff, so we might be able to just sand off the black on the part that's supposed to be light, but we'll see what happens. We're probably just gonna have to etch again.
Getting better.
It's like almost what I want, but I'm taking off in the dark areas too. So we're gonna have to do coffee again, no matter what. All right, guys, it's day, who even knows at this point. We've blown past my mom's birthday, but it's fine. It'll be a late gift, whatever. It's my camera guy's fault because I can only work when he's here. We're putting this in the coffee to try to get that etch how we want it. I mean, if we look at it right now, it looks good, but we can get those dark areas darker. I just know it. So we're gonna put it in the coffee. We're gonna check it every hour, hour and a half until it's as black as I want. And then we gotta glue it up. In the meantime, we're gonna work on a sheath so that it's not clunking around in the knife drawer. Let's go ahead and get it in there and see how it goes. All right, we just got back. Let's see how we did. Oh yeah. All right. It's ready. We're gonna go air compressor it off and then get ready to glue up.
I think it's fine. I think it landed on the edge, actually.
All right.
I'm gonna cover it in WD-40, let it sit overnight to lock in the oxides. And then it'll be time to glue up. After an overnight soak in the WD-40 to let those oxides lock in, it's time to get ready for the glue up. First though, there's this one last step, which is to put some notches into the tang. That way the epoxy will have somewhere to fill in and really lock that blade in there. Now I know in the last video I said I was done with this quick cure epoxy, and I am, but I had some left, and so we're going to use it for the glue up here. Doing the glue up isn't necessarily hard, it can just be a little bit tricky. You have to make an effort not to get epoxy everywhere, which can happen and I have done. If this epoxy was a little bit thinner, it would make my life easier, but that's what I get. And I'm gonna load up the tang with this stuff too, because I don't want any bubbles or voids or anything like that. I want it solidly filled and never coming out. As I put that blade in there, I'm trying to keep it as clean as I can with the paper towel. It's not going to be perfect, but once it's all clamped up, we'll go back in and do some cleanup. Now the clamp situation here is a little bit janky, but I've found that it's the best way to clamp up a blade when you're worried about the tip, right? I don't want to rub the Damascus finish off the tip, I don't want to break the tip, I don't want to bend the tip, any of which could happen depending on how you clamp.
There it is, all its finished glory. Look at that. I'm super happy with how this came out. I think it's an awesome looking knife. I think my mom's gonna love it. Let's see how sharp I got it. About that. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.